You know, when our story is written in the history books, it will literally be the dumbest story ever told. A race of humans that were so advanced that they created things like Wi-Fi, holograms, electric cars, allegedly traveled to the moon, but there was just one thing that they couldn't quite figure out. What is a woman?
Man, once again, man!
Hello everyone, if you are a new viewer, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If this is your second, third, fourth, 11th time, 12th time, however many time watching one of my videos and you are not yet subscribed, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We already go together, make it official and wife me up. I have the goal of getting to 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I am just a little over halfway there, so if you guys can help me make it to my goal before this year is over, that will be so greatly appreciated. But enough of all of that, it's time to get into today's topic. So this story begins in Wyoming, where the Kappa Kappa Gamma had welcomed its newest member, this 6'2", 260-pound, beautiful woman.
He looked like a man.
Now, for the record, Artemis Langford is a biological male, and they identify as a woman, and as per their transition, they have changed their name to Artemis Langford. And because Artemis Langford is a quote-unquote trans woman, I'm going to be using the pronouns she and her when referring to Artemis, but the S and the R will be silent because if the word woman can be subjective, so can consonants.
You don't have to be a sarcastic bitch about it, okay?
It's also important to note that the dictionary definition of a sorority reads, a society for female students in a university or college, typically for social purposes. So by definition, this should be a place where women can feel safe amongst other women. But of course, in 2023, women are not allowed to have their own spaces. Under the inclusivity guidelines, a vote was held to confirm or deny Langford membership into the sorority. The chapter president, membership chair, and vice president for academic excellence spoke prior to the vote, telling the women they could only vote against Langford if they could articulate specific concerns about Langford's personality. If members had not met Langford, then a no vote was evidence that the member was a bigot, and bigotry was grounds for expulsion. Many of the women who participated in the vote were not comfortable with Langford being admitted into the sorority, but they were afraid to cast a no vote because they did not want to be expelled for bigotry, and they also were not able to cast their vote anonymously. So, despite their feeling uncomfortable, they voted yes, and Langford managed to get enough votes to be admitted into the sorority, despite the fact that not all the women wanted him there, and despite the fact that the minimum GPA requirement was 2.7 and his GPA was 1.9. At the time when the girls filed their lawsuit, they made a few media appearances, and this is a clip from their appearance on Laura Ingraham.
College students join sororities. Many of them do it for the sisterhood, for a place to belong, for lifelong friendships. They don't do it in hopes that a man will invade their personal space, staring at them silently, creeping them out. But that's exactly what happened at the Kappa Kappa Gamma house at the University of Wyoming, according to a new lawsuit. 6 sorority sisters say they were forced by the national chapter to allow a man, Artemis Langford, into their women-only organization because Langford says he's transgender. Now, what comes with being inducted into this sorority is unfettered access to the house, where about 40 college girls live. Now, a house where men, even fathers and boyfriends, are banned from being on the 2nd or 3rd floors because that's where the bedrooms and the communal bathrooms are. But Langford had access to all of it. According to the lawsuit, several times Langford had chosen to sit for hours on the couch in the 2nd floor common area. Langford stares at women walking past. One sorority member walked down the hall to take a shower wearing only a towel. She felt an unsettling presence, turned, and saw Langford watching her silently. The suit also alleges that he has watched members enter the house and sometimes had an erection visible through his leggings. Other times he had a pillow in his lap. Joining me now exclusively for an interview are three of the sorority sisters suing, Hannah and Jalen, who are both juniors, and Allie, who just graduated, along with their attorney, Cassie Craven from Longhorn Law. Hannah, let's start with you. How did all of this initially hit you when you were told that a man was to be a member of your sorority?
Yeah, we were all shocked. I can speak for myself saying, never thought this would happen to me, especially in a sorority, in a space for women. We were never told it was a unisex space. We joined under the impression that it was a single-sex organization.
Laura, I just don't see a way out for them. They want everyone to believe that being a woman is nothing more than wearing lipstick and the pronouns that you use. And we all know that it amounts to womanhood. It amounts to a lifetime of experiences, and that's what they seek to deprive these young women of, and that's what we intend to fight for.
Now, Cassie, I guess Artemis doesn't live in the house, and according to the lawsuit, was given a waiver, so he didn't have to live there. Now, why is this?
Laura, we've seen extreme preferential treatment given to the individual involved, and it's very disheartening that when you're a 6'2", 260-pound man, you're treated as the victim in today's society. But the bylaws are very clear. This is an all-women's organization. Kappa was formed over 100 years ago to be that support system for women so that they could compete in the classroom against men. And now we just cease to exist. We're nothing more than an idea of self-identification.
In the complaint that was filed, it was alleged that Langford had a Tinder profile where he expressed sexual interest in women. And while at a sorority slumber party, he took photos and he made inappropriate comments. Quote, he repeatedly questioned the women about what vaginas look like, breast cup size, whether women were considering breast reductions and birth control, the complaint had claimed. On another occasion, Langford was supposed to leave a sorority slumber party by 10 p.m. that evening, but did not, saying that he intended to leave after the women fell asleep. After singing to himself at approximately 11 p.m., Langford finally left the residence at midnight, only to return the next morning. At that time, it is stated that Langford stood silently in the corner of the room while watching other pledges change out of their sleeping garments. He was also said to have sat in the back of a sorority yoga class for an hour in December of 2022 and watched the assembled young women flex their bodies. Langford has denied these allegations.
You know what? If you look at those pictures, what I have to say is he is a perverted, sexually deviant male. I'm sorry, Artemis Langford, you're not a woman, and you do not belong in women's spaces. I was listening to Fox News the other night, and Clay Travis, I think, put it just perfectly. He says, living in this woke world, equality really, really has become inequality. And it's so true, because the women are not being protected here.
The part that is most frustrating about this is that under normal circumstances, if a group of women were to complain that there was a male student that was behaving in a voyeuristic manner, that was, sexually intimidating, that was stalking, harassing, making them feel uncomfortable in the dorms, chances are the school and or the sorority would have gotten involved and potentially just removed the student from the dorms, from the campus, from wherever. But because he identifies as trans, he's basically become Thanos. He has the trans infinity stones. He cannot be stopped. He has all the power and the girls just have to take it. And it's frustrating to see these situations go down. Not only was Artemis given preferential treatment by the sorority, but he was also given preferential treatment by the judge in this case. The case was originally brought by 7 women who wished to remain anonymous. The judge, however, twice prohibited them from suing anonymously, so one of the women then removed herself from the case because she wanted to preserve her privacy, and the case was refiled with the 6 women's real names used. In the case of Artemis, however, he was allowed to remain anonymous, and in the court filings, he was referred to by the name Terry Smith. The women requested that the court void Langford's membership in Kappa Kappa Gamma, arguing that Langford's access to and presence in the sorority house violates the housing contract that the women had agreed to. Ultimately, the judge has dismissed the case, and the sorority will be forced to accommodate Langford. In his decision, Johnson wrote, "The University of Wyoming chapter voted to admit, and more broadly, a sorority of hundreds of thousands approved Langford, with its inquiry beginning and ending there. The court will not define woman today." The delegate of a private voluntary organization interpreted woman, otherwise undefined in the nonprofit's bylaws, expansively. This judge may not invade Kappa Kappa Gamma's freedom of expressive association and inject the circumscribed definition plaintiffs urge. So, in layman's terms, the judge has basically said, it's not my problem.
That's a you problem. I'll be dead soon.
These stories continue to go viral of all of these men fighting to get into women's spaces. I'm still waiting for the story where a woman is fighting to get into a fraternity, where a woman is fighting to join a men's football team, where a woman is fighting to get into a men's stinky ass bathroom. I've been in men's bathrooms and they always smell like, ew. I don't see stories of women fighting to get into men's spaces. It seems to always go in one direction, and it seems to always go in favor of the man.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit.
And at its core, I don't really think that this is a trans issue. I think that this is an issue of allowing people to self-ID and allowing people with mental illness and fetishes to force other people to participate in their mental illness and fetish. It's just absolutely ridiculous that a man can claim he's a woman, put little to no effort in trying to resemble a woman, and he gets all of the benefits of a protected group. According to articles that I found online, allegedly, Artemis is not even medically transitioning. And there's this one article I found online that is essentially a puff piece. It's saying how Artemis is this brave woman and, she came out as trans in 2016. And, well, I found a post on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. I found a post and Dallin Langford was tagged in the post in 2019. So 3 years after he, she, whatever you want to call it, supposedly transitioned. And in the post, Dallin is tagged with the name Dallin, so not the name Artemis, the name Dallin. And if you look at the photo, Dallin is just a regular old man on stage looking like a regular old man. He was not transitioned in 2019. He's a liar. He's not trans. I just think that he is a socially awkward man who found a loophole to force women to spend time with him in a very intimate situation. They're in their pajamas, they're sleeping, they're showering, they're walking around in towels. They are forced to engage with him in this very intimate setting because he's claiming he's a woman. He found a loophole. I don't think he's trans. I found this one comment on Substack that perfectly personifies this situation. I'm old enough to remember the days when boys would snap girls' bras, comment on our bodies, ogle us, and just generally be creepy. And we were supposed to put up with it and not complain because he likes you, and that's just his way of showing it. We had a brief shining moment when our culture recognized that we were full human beings in our own right and not mere playthings for men. And now, here we are, back again, having to submit to sexual abuse to be nice, and because men want it that way. Boils my blood. Perfectly written, and I could not agree more. I am so happy that the women at least had the courage to stand up for themselves. It's unfortunate that the judge has dismissed the case, but it still matters that they tried. They tried to stand up for themselves, and if I were them, I wouldn't go back to the Kappa Kappa Gamma organization. As long as they are going to allow men into the sorority, I wouldn't go back. That's all I have for this video. Whatever your thoughts are, what are your thoughts about this whole situation? Do you think it was fair for the judge to say, you know what, those are the sorority's rules, I'm not going to do anything about it? Or do you think the judge should have made a ruling or let the case at least go forward to see if the word woman should be redefined so that the sorority can maintain a female-only space? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section down below. I think you know where my thoughts stand on this. If a sorority is a place for females, it should stay a place for females. Like I mentioned earlier, you don't see women fighting to get into men's spaces. It seems to be only going in one way. We need to protect women's spaces, so I'm happy to see women continuing to fight for their rights. And as long as I find these stories, I will cover them on my channel because I'm passionate about them. Anyways, if you like this video, please hit the like button. If you would like to subscribe to my channel, please hit the subscribe button. I do social commentary, I cover news stories, whatever's trending, whatever's interesting, I like to discuss on this channel. To all my patrons on Patreon, I like to thank you so much for your support. I only have a handful of people supporting me, but I appreciate the little handful that I got, so thank you. If you would like to follow me on social media, you can find me at NissCee.Social. All of my links will be in the description box down below. And if you liked this video, I do have 2 more videos that I think you will enjoy. I will put them in the end credits. I have a recent video that I did where I talk about Joe Rogan says why he would never move to Canada. And I kind of tied into another topic that's been going on in Canada recently. So if you're interested in that, I will have that for you in the end cards. I will see you guys in the next one. Take care. Bye.